So in Pokemon Legends Arceus, something really cool happened. Well, actually a lot of really cool things happened, but the one I want to talk about today is the fact that in those games, we saw for the first time regional variants of starter Pokemon. This was a really cool thing that a lot of fans loved, and obviously it begs the question. While it is really nice that these three Pokemon in particular got their own regional variants, what would it be like if all the starter Pokemon eventually got regional variants in future games and in future situations? Well, that is exactly what we're going to be looking at today, as we are going to take a peek with some designs of my own at what it could be like if every starter Pokemon had a regional variant evolution. Now, obviously there are a lot of starter Pokemon to go through, so in this video we are going to be focusing on the first 3 generations of starters. However, if this video does well enough, and if you guys can help it do well enough with likes and comments and all that good stuff, I would love to do future videos on the other generations starters as well. So be sure to do all that and subscribe if you haven't already for those potential new videos. And with that being said, let's go ahead and check it out. So today's video and the Fakemon that are in it have been made possible thanks in part to today's amazing sponsor, Tokyo Treat and Sakura Co. These two bring you snacks and treats that come straight from Japan each and every month, delivered right to your door in a box that is packed with goodies. You'll get stuff like these banana caramel Kit Kats and these fun cookie roll straw things, which are pretty great, as well as more traditional stuff from the Sakura Co box like this bread and strawberry cake. And let me tell you, I absolutely love the breads that come from Sakura Co. They're my absolute favorite and they are super delicious. The Sakura Co box this month even comes with this nice little teacup as well, and it's got everything you would need to have an authentic Japanese tea sipping experience. These boxes are also Sakura themed as well, as it is currently Sakura season over in Japan, and if you act quick, you can even take advantage of a special Sakura themed promotion by following the link in the description below. Not only are these boxes a lot of fun to get, but picking one up through that link also directly supports the channel as well, so it's very much appreciated. So give that a look and get you some Japanese treats for yourself, and a big thank you to Tokyo Treat and Sakura Co for supporting the channel. Okay, so naturally we are going to begin with the Kanto region, and inexplicably, none of the Kanto starters have had the regional variant treatment to this point. It's probably only a matter of time before that happens, but in the meantime, here is what I think it could be like if Venusaur, Charizard, and Blastoise all got regional variants of their own. First off, I would like to present to you guys regional variant Venusaur. Now, this form of Venusaur is a grass fairy type, which contrasts its normal grass poison type. And the reason I chose the fairy type is not only because I thought it fit well with Venusaur, but it's also so it has a type advantage against its counterpart, Charizard, which we're going to get into a little bit later. With that being said though, Venusaur is kind of a tricky Pokemon to give a regional variant to, simply because the biggest and most central feature of its design, which is the giant flower on its back, is kind of tricky to switch up and change around in a way that still keeps this Pokemon as a Venusaur and doesn't rip too much away from its design. Those factors are what ultimately led me to this design, which has a theme of cherry blossoms. The cherry blossoms obviously fit well with both the grass and fairy type, and it also provides something that can sort of take the place of Venusaur's big plant, but also be a plant itself, which makes sense for being there, and also helps Venusaur to retain its signature look. And I think we did a good job of balancing all of this with this design in particular. As always, I've got to give a shout out to the artists who I commissioned to help me bring these designs to life, and this one in particular was drawn by Oscar Belmonte. I also have my good friends Elesteva 076 and Trevenart helping out with the various designs for these videos, and all of those guys can be checked out with the links in the description below, and I highly recommend doing so because they do amazing work. Getting back to Venusaur though, the Cherry Blossom theme was also inspired by the fact that it obviously comes from the Kanto region, which is a Japanese-based region, and therefore the cherry blossoms fit well. However, admittedly, this is a bit ironic considering this is supposed to be a regional variant, but if this design were to appear in something like, say, a Legends Johto game, or a Legends Hoenn game, or even a Legends Kanto game that dealt with the past of these regions, I think a design like this could fit right in. Moving along though, let's go ahead and take a look at regional variant Charizard, and without any further ado, this is what Oscar and I have come up with for this regional variant of this extremely underrated and not well represented Pokemon. Now, if you couldn't sense the sarcasm in there, it's very obvious that Charizard gets a ton of attention and is at the forefront of what Game Freak is doing literally all the time. And this design takes that into consideration, because what I wanted to do with a regional variant Charizard is simply and plainly to make it as cool looking as I possibly could, for just the simple fact that it would be very marketable to do that with a Pokemon like Charizard, and would help boost the attention of any game that it featured in. Since Charizard is already being used that way by Game Freak themselves, I think it only makes sense to have those sorts of things in mind when coming up with a hypothetical new form. That is why this version of Charizard is a Fire Dark type, and that's why Venusaur ultimately ended up with that Grass Fairy type as previously stated. When it came to making Charizard as cool looking as possible, purely for the marketing side of things, I thought an edgy Fire Dark type version of it was definitely the way to go, especially because the Dragon type, which Charizard has also often been associated with, has already been taken by one of its Mega Evolutions. And while I completely understand that some people are tired of Charizard at this point, I would absolutely take a regional variant of it if it ended up looking something like this. With that being said though, let's go ahead and turn our attention to the final of the Kanto starters, Blastoise. This is the design that was ultimately landed on for what I believe a regional variant of Blastoise could look like, and it also has a very specific point of inspiration. I personally have been of the opinion that when Generation 2 rolled around and it introduced the Steel type, or at least some point after that, that Blastoise should have gained the Steel type and became Water Steel due to the literal steel cannons that it has in its back. Blastoise is also the only one of all of the fully evolved Kanto starters that does not have a secondary type, so this seems like a missed opportunity to me, which is why I wanted to right this wrong with a regional variant and create a Blastoise that is in fact Water Steel type, which is exactly what this design is. Ironically, however, this design ended up losing those steel cannons that were the reason why the steel type came into play here. However, it ended up replacing those back cannons with a set of Mega Man style arm cannons, which I also think are really cool and also help to differentiate this version of Blastoise from its original Kantonian counterpart. If any of these regional variant Kanto starters were actually a thing, would you be happy about it? Would you choose them? Be sure to let me know your thoughts on these guys in the comments below, because I would love to hear them. And with that said, let's go ahead and move on to the Johto region. Now obviously when it comes to Johto's starters, one of them has already received a regional variant in Hisuian Typhlosion, so we only have Meganium and Feraligatr to cover in terms of giving these Pokemon new regional variants. And with that said, let's go ahead and start with Meganium. I'll just go ahead and show you guys right away. This is what I have come up with for a regional variant of Meganium. Now, you might already recognize this design in particular because it's one that I created a while ago for my Pokemon Cardinal series, and this particular version of Meganium was created as something that's known as a Tundra form. I highly encourage you guys to go check out that series to learn more about what this version of Meganium is all about. However, in a nutshell, it is more or less a regional variant, and simply put, I definitely couldn't come up with anything better because Elesteva 076, who is the artist of this particular design, helped me to create something that I believe just knocks it out of the park. This design is a grass ice type, which is also a really cool combination that I personally believe would be really cool to see on a starter Pokemon, and I also think that this would just make Meganium immensely and infinitely more cool if it ever received a regional variant that was anything like this. And coincidentally, when it comes to Feraligatr, this is also a Pokemon I have already focused on for a regional variant design for a past video, and it looks like this. This is a water ghost type variant of Feraligatr that I created with the help of my good friend Trevenart, that I actually created with a Pokemon Legends game in mind, which is obviously the source of the current official starter regional variants that we currently have. This design was made as a part of my Pokemon Legends Unova video, which I highly recommend checking out if you haven't already to learn all about what exactly inspired a water ghost type Feraligatr, but needless to say, I think this is something that would be really cool to have if we ever got a regional variant Feraligatr, and as one of the more plain starter evolutions, I would say, this is the exact kind of thing, in my personal opinion, that could help to spice up Feraligatr's design. With that being said though, that covers all of the Johto starters, so now let's go ahead and look at the Hoenn starters. We've got Sceptile, Blaziken, and Swampert to cover, and let's go ahead and naturally start with Sceptile as the grass starter. This is the concept that I have come up with for what a regional variant Sceptile could be like, and it has a very specific inspiration. First of all, it is a grass poison type, which I personally feel like is a unique sort of type to gain when it comes to a regional variant, especially for a starter, and the origin of where it comes from is none other than Jurassic Park. You see, Sceptile's design bears some resemblance to dinosaurs, and it's believed that the Dilophosaurus could be a potential point of inspiration for this Pokemon. The Dilophosaurus is very noteworthy within the dinosaur world due to it being featured in the original Jurassic Park movie. However, in the movie, it actually took some artistic interpretations that differ from the actual real-world version of this dinosaur. These would include its ability to spit venom as well as its signature neck frills. These are not something that the real-life Dilophosaurus had, which makes this Jurassic Park version of the dinosaur a literal variant, and so I thought, given this dinosaur's connections to Sceptile already, that the Jurassic Park version of this dinosaur would make for a perfect inspiration for a regional variant that added the poison type, as well as those signature neck frills. And while I'm not really a poison type guy personally, if we ended up actually getting something that resembled this in the future, it's definitely something that I would be happy about. Moving along though, let's go ahead and take a look at Sceptile's fire type counterpart Blaziken, and for its regional variant, this is what I have come up with. With the help of Trevenart, I created this regional variant Blaziken as once again a part of my Pokemon Legends Unova video that I created a little while ago. And once again, I would really recommend and appreciate checking out that video if you haven't already, where I explain in full detail everything that is going on with this Pokemon's design. But to give you guys a bit of a summary, this Unovan Blaziken is a fire electric type. and it gets the electric type as it is inspired by the famous electrical experiment that was conducted by Benjamin Franklin. The reason why this inspiration is incorporated into a Pokemon like Blaziken is because Blaziken is a chicken Pokemon, and chickens are often the subject of weather vanes, and the weather was used in this experiment by Ben Franklin as he conducted it during a thunderstorm. This would make Univin Blaziken a bit of a Thunderbird, if you will, which is why it also vaguely resembles a Native American superhero that is known as Thunderbird, that obviously as a Native American superhero has ties to North America and in Pokemon terms, the Unova region where this hypothetical Blaziken regional variant is based. So I really love how well all the different elements of this regional Blaziken design was able to come together, and like I said, be sure to check out that Legends Unova video to find out more. With that said though, we are now going to go ahead and take a look at our last starter Pokemon of the video, Swampert. Now, like I said guys, if you have enjoyed this video and want to see regional variants for the rest of the starter evolutions, be sure to give this video a like, leave a comment, share it around so it can do well, so I am able to actually make parts 2 and 3 that'll focus on the Sinnoh through Kalos regions and the Alola through Paldea regions. Getting back once again to Swampert though, this is what I came up with for a concept for a regional variant of this Pokemon. Just like our regional variant Univin Feraligatr, this regional Swampert is also a water ghost type, and it has a very specific reason for being so that has to do with none other than the origin and inspiration of Swampert's design. As you may know, the Swampert family are based on axolotls, and axolotls are very unique and interesting animals, not only for their appearance, but also due to the fact that they have some very unique traits and abilities, like the ability of regeneration. Axolotls are able to regenerate parts of their body that become injured or removed, such as their limbs, gills, and even parts of their brains, basically as if they are bringing themselves back from the dead, which is why I have made this particular version of Swampert a water ghost type that is based around this kind of inspiration. However, this ghost typing also comes from another inspiration as well, and that is the unfortunate fact that axolotls are currently endangered and are near extinction. So it is the abilities as well as the current status of Swampert's inspiration that have ultimately resulted in this hypothetical regional variant of the Pokemon, and I think that all comes together really well and is made for a really cool design, if I do say so myself. So this is another thing that I would really love to see become a real thing someday. And for that matter, I would love to see any of these regional variant ideas become a real thing, because I think regional variant starter Pokemon is something that should just happen a little more often. But now I want to know what you guys think. Which one of these designs is your favorite? Do you enjoy these designs? Do you want to see more starter regional variants in future Pokemon games? Let me know down in the comments below. Once again, leave the video a like if you enjoyed it, it really helps out, and subscribe for more if you're new. With that being said, I'll be back with another new video very soon, and until then, as always, thank you guys so much for watching this one. I really, really appreciate it, and I will smell you guys later.